The pride of Quraysh. He was the city's greatest hunter, a man of power and privilege, comfortable in his world of tribal honor and martial prowess. He loved his nephew, but not his nephew's God. He never imagined his greatest hunt would not be for lions in the desert, but for a truth that would force him to choose between the world he knew and the eternity he was offered. In the sun-baked landscape of 7th century Arabia, the city of Makkah stood as the vibrant, beating heart of the peninsula. At its center was the Kaaba, a sacred house built by Prophet Ibrahim alayhis salam, now tragically ringed by 360 idols. Here, the powerful Quraysh tribe thrived on trade, poetry, and a fierce code of tribal honor. Into this world was born Hamza ibn Abd al-Muttalib, paternal uncle to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Hamza was the embodiment of Quraysh nobility, strong, charismatic, an expert hunter, and a warrior whose reputation preceded him. He was a man of the world, respected in the bustling markets and the council meetings of the elite. He shared a close bond with his nephew, Muhammad, having been nursed by the same woman, a tie that forged a deep familial kinship. Hamza's heroic journey began not as a man of faith, but as a man of honor. While his nephew began receiving divine revelations and calling people away from the idolatry that defined their culture, Hamza remained neutral. His curvy path was his internal struggle, a respected leader in a system being directly challenged by the person he was bound by blood to protect. He surely felt the tension between his affection for his nephew and his loyalty to the traditions of his forefathers. He observed from the periphery a lion at rest, powerful but uncommitted, watching the growing storm with a conflicted heart. He was comfortable in his status, a master of his domain, unaware that the quiet, contemplative nephew he had watched grow up was about to ignite a revolution of the soul. A divine message had descended upon Makkah, and in the coming conflict, the formidable Hamza would face a choice that would redefine the meaning of strength, honor, and loyalty, setting him on a path to becoming the Lion of Allah. The lion's roar. It started not with a quiet prayer, but with a roar of fury. A moment of raw, tribal pride sparked by a vicious insult against his nephew forced him to make a choice in a heartbeat: defend the idols of his ancestors or defend the man preaching their destruction. This was the moment Hamza's honor and a new, startling faith collided. The message of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had split Makkah. He called for the worship of one God, for justice, and for an end to the polytheism that underpinned Quraysh's power. The response from the elite was brutal. The early Muslims were hunted, tortured, and killed. Bilal was crushed under hot rocks. The family of Yasser was martyred. The Prophet, peace be upon him, himself endured insults and physical abuse. Through all this, Hamza, Radi Allahu Anhu, remained on the sidelines. His journey was curvy because it wasn't a simple path from ignorance to belief. It was a path from detached neutrality to righteous anger, and only then to true faith. The turning point came one day as he returned from a hunt, his bow across his shoulder. He was met by a slave woman who told him that the vile Abu Jahl, the pharaoh of the Quraysh, had viciously insulted and humiliated his nephew. A primal fire of indignation ignited in Hamza's soul. This was an insult to his family, his clan, his honor. Consumed by a noble rage, he marched directly to the Kaaba, where Abu Jahl was boasting to the other leaders. towering over him. Hamza radiyallahu anhu roared, "You dare to insult him while I am of his religion?" and brought his box crashing down on Abu Jahl's head. The assembly was stunned into silence. No one dared to challenge the formidable Hamza. In that moment, a crisis fell upon him. He had declared in the heat of anger that he was a follower of his nephew's faith. As the adrenaline subsided, he was forced to confront the meaning of his own words. He went to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and wrestled with his soul. And Allah opened his heart. The spark of honor was transformed into the blazing light of Iman, faith. He declared the Shahada, and his conversion was complete and absolute. The news ripped through Mecca like a thunderclap. For the persecuted Muslims, it was a monumental victory. They now had a powerful, fearless protector. For the Quraysh, it was a devastating blow. The Lion of Allah had awakened, and the struggle for the soul of Arabia had just entered a new, more dangerous phase. The price of valor. At the Battle of Badr, he was the unstoppable lion, the symbol of a miraculous victory. At the Battle of Uhud, that same heroic ferocity, serious, made him the #1 target. An assassin promised his freedom for one perfect throw. Ominous, stalked him through the chaos of battle. Somber, the price of valor would be paid in blood. Thoughtful, Hamza's radiyallahu an conversion forced the Quraysh to escalate their aggression, leading to the Hijrah, migration to Medina. Assertive, there Hamza was a pillar of the new Muslim state. The inevitable clash came at the Battle of Badr. Powerful, Hamza was a terrifying force on the battlefield, slaying several of the Quraysh's top leaders in single combat. Triumphant, his valor was a key factor in Islam's first decisive military victory. Somber, but this victory created a burning desire for revenge, especially in the heart of Hind bint Utbah, whose father and other relatives fell at Badr. Determined, she hired an Abyssinian slave named Washi, a master of the javelin, with one mission: kill Hamza. Coldly, her price was his freedom. Intense, at the Battle of Uhud, the Quraysh army marched on Medina. While the main battle raged, Washi's only goal was to stalk his target. Heroic, Hamza radiyallahu an, marked by a distinctive ostrich feather, was a whirlwind of righteous fury, cutting through the enemy ranks. Reverent, his heroic journey was reaching its peak. He fought with the certainty of a man who fears nothing but displeasing God. Tense, while Hamza was engaged in fierce combat, Washi found his moment. Focused, from the cover of a rock, he took aim and hurled his javelin with deadly precision. It struck Hamza radiyallahu an, piercing him fatally. Sadly, the Lion of Allah, the beloved uncle of the Prophet, the Master of Martyrs, fell to the ground. Sadly, his martyrdom was a devastating blow, made more agonizing when Hind mutilated his body in a barbaric act of vengeance. Mournful, the Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, grief was profound and immeasurable. Thoughtful, the Muslim setback at Uhud, caused by a group of archers abandoning their post against the Prophet's orders, created the opening for this tragedy. Hamza's fate was sealed not by a failure of his own, but by the bitter hatred of his enemies and a momentary lapse in discipline within the Muslim ranks. Reflective. His death was the ultimate test, a heart-wrenching sacrifice that would forever stand as a lesson in obedience and the true price of fighting for the truth. The Master of Martyrs. Why does the story of a warrior who died over 1400 years ago still bring tears to the eyes of believers? Why is his title, the Master of Martyrs, spoken with such reverence? The answer is a timeless lesson in what it truly means to be strong, to be brave, and to be loved by God. The martyrdom of Hamza, radiallahu anhu, was a defining moment for the early Muslim community and for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, personally. The sight of his beloved uncle's mutilated body brought him to tears, a deeply human moment of profound grief. Reverent. Yet solace came through divine revelation and the eternal honor bestowed upon the martyrs. The Prophet, peace be upon him, confirmed his uncle's lofty status, saying, "The master of the martyrs on the day of resurrection is Hamza ibn Abd al-Muttalib." Hamza's legacy is a powerful blueprint for believers. His story teaches us the power of transformation. He shows that no matter one's past, a moment of sincere conviction can entirely redirect a life towards greatness. His journey from a worldly nobleman to a spiritual warrior is a testament to the transformative power of Islam. Courage in the face of tyranny. Hamza's confrontation with Abu Jahl is a lesson in standing up to bullies and oppressors. He teaches us to have gira, a protective jealousy and honor for our faith and our community. The meaning of true strength. His physical prowess was legendary, but his true strength was revealed when he harnessed that power for the sake of Allah. It's a call to use our own talents, skills, and resources in the service of truth and justice. The ultimate sacrifice. Uhud and Hamza's martyrdom serve as an eternal lesson in obedience to leadership and the devastating consequences of disunity. His sacrifice underscores that the path to paradise is paved with trial, and that giving one's life for Allah's cause is the ultimate success. For modern Muslims, Hamza radiallahu anhu remains an icon of unwavering conviction. In a world that often demands compromise on one's principles, his life was one of absolute clarity. When he saw the truth, he seized it. When he embraced Islam, he defended it. When the time came to sacrifice for it, he did not hesitate. His story is not just a history lesson. It is a call to action. It asks us to look inside ourselves and find our own courage, to stand for what is right, and to live a life of such purpose that, like the Lion of Allah, our legacy inspires faith long after we are gone.